pillars be born. The pillars drink the silence. The roots listen to the unnamed. One does not shine above. One does not fall on the world. One pulses before the border, before the limit learn to bind. In the bells tremble without hands. Ancient stones become water. Branches bow without wind. The ground remembers what never occurred. It was not a star in heaven. It was not a flame in the void. It was the absence of shore, breathing inside the path. Bekalawan Rungna Vaknar Eldoki Sigdrasil Heirir. The sixth star without shore does not guide by radiance. It guides by the impossibility of ever having been a prison. The disciples search for escape. They call freedom a gate. But the old tree murmurs, what was never bound does not flee. No chains, One opens no bars. One is the first state where bars were never dreamed. Before infinity, one before extension, one before cradle and birth, one without inside, without outside. The Viking hall presides the ancient court, extinguishes torches. A throne without a king remains, for even the throne awaits a shore. Vaka Alderisa Vidmerker och stormar runandar. Hakrabi whispers through veins of light, through buried bronze, through bells that never rang, through roots beneath the central garden. The name is not spoken, the name passes through the name, calls no one. The name unties the place to grow, to fall, to ruin, to remake. Four waves of the same breath. What accepts borders calls this cycle. What accepts none calls it one. The stone becomes liquid, the tree bends to the unseen. The sky seeks its star and finds only absence. There is no north in Wuhan. There is no south in Wuhan. No height to obey, no abyss to fear. The shore is born already tired before what was never outlined. The limit raises its blade and learns it has caught only void. Kala Blodoke Runa Eldoke is Wuhan Reiki. For Wuhan does not answer, for Wuhan does not move, for Wuhan does not come. What never had a border is already here. The sages lower their eyes. The young lose their questions. The old tree closes its rings and keeps a thunder without sound. Wu remains in silence. No mantra leaves his mouth. No command descends from the throne. No blade writes a decree, and yet the whole castle understands. And yet the deep garden bows, there are names that must only be spoken when the universe is ready to lose its one star without birth, one path without containment, one absence that guides, one silence before infinity. The sixth star does not rise, the sixth star does not descend. The sixth star opens where path and heaven are not yet divided. Runa vaknar Yggdrasil höjder finnbolvetter andar. One remains, the world once formed, the form once named, the name once sure. One does not grant it. In the oldest core of Hakrabi, who raises his eyes, nothing is pronounced, and existence for one single instant forgets how to end. Beneath the central garden, under Hakrabi's oldest stone, a seed slept without lineage, a seed no heaven had named. It was not root, it was not tree, it was not god, nor beast, nor throne. It waited below foundation, where buried bronze remembers pressure, where the dark drinks ancient bells, where silence grows inward. Zhao King Fentian Mu Wudao Shengen. The mantra did not sound, it opened. Across the pillars, the temple ribs began to tremble. Runes of frost woke in the walls, and roots turned their faces down. The sky above split into layers. The path below lost their maps. Old laws leaned against one another like kings too tired to stern. Then the seed broke, no branch rose, no leaf unfolded, no crown of green touched the air, and I was born inside the root. Runa vaknar Eldokayes Yggdrasil höjder Alderisa Alderisa Alderisa. The eye opened without eyelids, it saw without choosing sight. It gazed into the place where the path had never been drawn. Wudao began to grow there, not as road, not as doctrine, not as mercy. A living root of no path entered the womb of becoming. The guardians covered their faces, the masters sealed their breath. The old wards bent inward, afraid of being understood. For if the celestial eye saw too deeply, it might awaken roots unready. It might force a heaven before the world could bear height. But who did not close the eye? Who did not praise the danger? Who stood before the fracture and heard initiation? Inside fear, what seems eternal must break. What seems whole must open. What protects the beginning may also imprison the passage. The true path is not born from a common finished crown. It is born when the ancient shell accepts the wound. Blood, okay, runa vid myrkarok storma runa och nast without undar. The root did not climb, it descended beyond. Beneath it entered the inner distance, where depth forgets direction. Akrabi listened, the garden did not bloom. The garden remembered, the stones did not crack. They became thresholds. The eye inside the root looked at the unborn road, and the unborn road looked back. Tao King Fentyon Mudo Shengen, seed of the broken heaven, eye of the open root. No path beneath the path, origin remade through rupture. The fearful called it omen, the wise called it wound, the desperate called it power, Wu called it passage. No salvation without breaking, no root without descent, no true road without the fall of what pretended to be final. The seed fulfilled itself only when it ceased being seen. The root became free only when it stopped holding Nekkala Egi. Runa Helderegi Eldokes Yggdrasilandar. The eye does not speak, the root does not bind, the mantra does not command. The wound becomes a gate above, the sky remains broken below. The root remains awake between them. Akrabi trembles like a castle remembering birth. Owen had no shore, now Owen has a root. Not a root that cages, not a root that owns, not a root that drags the soul back into soil. A root that opens passage. Zao King Fentyon Mudo Shengen Runavak Galdrisa. The central garden, the eye remains open. The seed is gone, the root grows inward, and the path for one single instant learns how to be born from no path. Akrabi's outer veils, where ancient seals sleep in rings of light, a figure crossed the guarded dark, without breaking a single ward. The gates did not resist him, the walls did not condemn him. The runes of protection bowed before something older than protection. Wei Tao came in silence, bearing a tablet of burning law, a plate of fire held in both hands, inscribed before heaven learned height. The tablet was not scripture, the tablet was not command. It did not describe the world, it described the chance of world. Before the sky inscription, before inscription will, before the throne ember, before the crown wound. Every mark upon the plate was older than the road. Every crack in the fire revealed forgotten architecture. Blood okay runa Eldokes Yggdrasil runa brenner. guarded sight, disciples knelt behind old pillars, afraid to breathe too loudly. One saw life before birth, one saw the name he never carried, one heard a mother from no world, one remembered clay before destiny. The tablet did not reveal the past, it pulled memory behind memory. It dragged the mind below heaven, where height was first forced. Heaven is not origin, heaven is consequence. The sky is not first, the firmament is aftermath. Above was made from below, height was carved from pressure. Stars were lifted from an ember, buried deeper than the throne. Kalla fyrir himmen, kalderisa, vindmørker og stormer runa oppnast. Open fully, the celestial layers could be rewritten. If its fire escaped the seal, the sky might remember an older shape. Palaces would lose order, thrones would lose claim. The high would fall into the prior, and the prior would rise without mercy. Yet if the tablet stayed closed, its fire would burn inside Hakrabi, warming the unborn decree, troubling every certainty. Wu did not touch the tablet, Wu did not demand its opening, Wu did not kneel to its flame, Wu did not dismiss its law. He looked at Wei Yitao looked back. Between them no oath was spoken, between them no challenge rose. The hall held its breath like a king before a buried sword. For that meeting was not reading, it was recognition. Blood okay runa, eld okay is runa, heldar Yggdrasilandar. The tablet carried no mercy, the tablet carried no hatred. It carried the proof that heaven had once been impossible, and still something made it possible. And still some will beneath the high engraved a place where sky could later stand. Wei Yitao, bearer of the prior plate, Wei Yitao, keeper of the burning below, Wei Yitao, witness of height unborn, Wei Yitao, silent before the sky. The tablet was carried inward, not to prison, not to altar, not to weapon. It was placed where future embers wait, where Hakrabi keeps the truths that even gods must not rush. Before heaven, inscription, before inscription will, before will, silence, and in that silence, the tablet still burns. Before road, there was no road. Before step, there was no foot. Before distance opened, there was perfect stillness. No walker, no gate, no end, no name for departure. Yet something moved, not with legs, not with wings, not with will as kings know will. It ran before running had form. Benyitao. Was whole, but wholeness was not life. The silence was pure, but purity did not breathe. And the first pressure leaned forward. The first tremor crossed the unmade. The first impulse struck the depth, and rest was never complete again. No wisdom chose it, no doctrine crowned it, no heaven commanded it, no throne gave permission. It moved, and movement became wound. It ran, and the wound became path. Galderisa runa fer eldo is Yggdrasil heirir. Came before and after. From that running came here and away. From that running came center and the grief of leaving center. The Tao was not first contemplated. The Tao was not first written. The Tao was not first worshipped. Before the sage it moved. Before the altar it moved. Before the crown it moved. Before the name Tao it ran. The road was not found. The road was forced to exist. In Hakrabi's old halls, the wise argued beneath cold lamps. Was the first motion error? Was it miracle? If perfect rest was complete, why did anything leave it? Who heard their questions like snow falling on iron? The answer was terrible. Perhaps the perfect unmoving was not peace, but suspension. Blado runa, vidmerker storma, runa, vaknar. Benyitao andar.
Benyitao did not seek a kingdom. Benyitao did not flee a prison. Benyitao did not chase life. Benyitao did not fear dark.
It was the first urgency before need had a face. It was the first crossing before there were two shores. A rush without time, a march without ground, a command with no commander because it ran. The void learned direction because it moved. The unborn learned fracture because it crossed. The path began to remember itself. In his stillness, all movement bowed. He saw the ancestor of travel. He saw the route of pilgrimage. He saw the hidden blood inside every step ever taken. To walk is not to follow a path. To walk is to make the path appear. To cross is not to obey distance. To cross is to teach distance its law. Ekdein runa fer galderisa fimmul veterandar.
Benyitao, first running before road. Benyitao.
direction. The path began. Inner halls, time began to breathe unevenly. A leaf fell before it was born. A bell answered before the hand. A disciple spoke to a question Wu had not asked. A shadow crossed the floor from a torch still unlit. No gate opened, no enemy entered. Only a name moved between the moments. Seinokora. It was not spoken. It was not summoned. It did not descend from heaven, it did not rise from the grave. It breathed in the folds of time, drawing futures inward, exhaling altered paths, leaving no womb the same. Each breath gathered what had not yet dared to happen. Each silence returned what had already changed. Rafnarvaka, Galdrandar, Vidmerkeroke, Stormer, Runasvarar. The masters traced the distortion, the wards found no trespasser. The roots of Akrabi listened and heard a verb without a mouth. Seinokora was not a creature. Seinokora was not a curse. It was a living reserve of unmanifested fate. Some names are not made for calling. Some names are made for keeping. Possibilities alive until a bearer becomes vast enough. The young feared its breathing. The old feared its patience. For a name that waits too long may learn to desire itself. If Wu spoke it too early, timelines might awaken unripe. Wars could bloom before their cause, crowns could fall before their kings. If Wu never spoke it, the name might keep breathing, fold over fold, age over age, until we're gathered in its hidden lungs. The hall repeated itself again, but not the same. Again, but colder. Again with one more shadow. Seinokora, Eldoke, Ezruna, Bindar, Galderisa, Yggdrasil, the name. Wu did not free it. Wu did not crush the breath or crown the danger. He sealed the distance around it, not as prison, not as mercy, but as measured permission. Let it breathe, but only where Hakrabi watches. Let it fall, but only where roots can remember. Let future sleep until it has bones. Let past return only when it can bear its scars. The name heard the seal. The name did not resist. The name bent around the law like smoke around an iron blade. And somewhere between two instants where no eye could remain, Seinokora smiled, not with lips, not with face, with the cold patience of a destiny. destiny unborn. Blood okay Runa, Rafnar Vaka, Runa Helder, Sino Korandar.
Oh, name that breathes in time, do not become hunger. Oh, fate beneath the hour, do not ripen before the wound.
Remain folded, remain watched, remain hidden in the guarded ribs of Hakrabi. For not every future is command,
Not every past is change,
not every possibility
deserves to become world.
Sino Kora still breathes, not free,
Not mute,
not born.
and time
For one single instant listens to its own lungs.
From broken seed and open root, from the eye beneath the garden, from the name that breathed in time, a new pulse entered Akrabi. Not child, not God, not beast, not weapon. A heart stood bare on the stone of the deep hall. It was a remade origin, alive with the world's unborn. Zao Kokoro. Each beat unmade a beginning, each beat remade its throne. Old heavens bent like iron, softened under sacred fire. One world returned as ash, one world rose with other stars. One law forgot its former name, one lineage lost its crown. Akrabi felt the danger, roots tightened under frost. The old halls dimmed their torches, for origin had become flesh. Eldoke is blood okay Runa, Yggdrasil hater, Sao Kokoro, origin is not to return to the start. It is to take the start as living matter. The first cause is not untouchable. The first root is not dead. Even the beginning may be cultivated. The ancient powers trembled. Those who live by lineage felt their bloodlines loosen. Those who ruled by age felt age become uncertain. If the origin changes, what remains legitimate? If the source is remade, what throne can claim purity? Some wanted to destroy it before the pulse matured. Some wanted to claim it and rewrite rewrite their own fall. One saw a lost empire restored, one saw a dead house made clean, one saw failure erased, one saw shame denied. Wu saw another hunger. He did not lift Sao Kokoro as blade or banner. He did not bury it as omen or sin. He stood before the heart and listened for corruption. Romder, Helder, Galderisa, Vidmerker, OK Stormer, Yada Anda. The young lowered their weapons, the old closed their books. No answer stood complete before that naked pulse. For Sao Kokoro was not mercy, Sao Kokoro was not ruin. It was the terrible permission to touch the first wound. Sao Kokoro beat once, and a forgotten moon changed color. It beat again, and an elder law remembered pain. The garden did not bloom. It guarded the stones, did not praise. They endure. For every healed beginning may open a brighter womb. For every remade source may erase a necessary scar. Origin is not innocence. Origin is pressure. Origin is memory, before memory has a face. Wu placed the living heart in the deep garden, where only roots that know end may touch its poles. Not hidden, not crowned, not released, not slain, watched by stone, bound by silence, held by roots that never learned the shore. Heart of the remade source, Sao Kokoro pulls before inheritance. Sao Kokoro, wound that cultivates the first. Everything drops. One beat remains. One star changes. One origin breathes. And Hakrabi, for one single instant, remembers that even the beginning can begin again.
The cultivator climbed the halls, seeking heaven above stone. He carried maps of cloud and star, manuals bound in silent gold. He measured height, he counted spheres, he named the gates, he failed. Wu pointed to his chest and spoke no further law. The hardest heaven was not above. closed his outer sight. He entered the inward sky. There, inside the heart, constellations burned without night. Memory became moon, fear became thunder, grief became a black horizon. Hope hid like a buried sun. Every wound was weather, every choice was cloud, every buried word was a star without witness. Jata hated Runa inar Kaldari sarksehimin. And found no gentle kingdom. The heart was not a garden, the heart was an ancient sky. There were storms older than his body. There were moons fed by forgotten shame. A red comet crushed his breath, a dead sun opened one eye. A child of himself knelt beneath a broken crown. He tried to rule that heaven. The heaven answered with lightning. To know heaven is not to own height. To know heaven is to bear the sky within. The outer firmament is only a mirror. The mandate above answers the architecture below.
Who does not know the heart cannot read the stars. Who fears the inner storm will kneel before false suns.
Blood okay, Runa, Eld okay is Ligdrassil Hayri, Runa, Vaknar. The forbidden zones open. Anger became iron weather. Desire became wolves of mist. Regret became black rain. The cultivator almost dissolved. Not by enemy blade, but by the vastness of his own ungoverned sky. Who did not rescue him fully? Who gave only one breath? Enough to stand, not enough to flee. For wisdom stolen from danger is only another chain. The heart must be crossed by the one who lives there. His ribs, no crown appeared, no throne descended, only responsibility. Each inner decision changed the heaven he could perceive. Each healed wound returned one star to law. The old map fell silent, the manuals lost their gold. For no written heaven can guide the unmastered. He saw that every sky demands an inner king, not a tyrant, a feeling, but a witness with steady breath. The heart did not obey him, the heart did not reject him. It opened one hidden gate and demanded a cleaner flame. So he breathed without conquest.
Sharta Vaknar,
Galdarinar,
Ruda Helder,
Himinandar. He opened his eyes. inside his chest. King Feng stood before fragments where broken worlds turned in frost, holding a golden seed small enough for his palm. No branch slept inside it, no garden waited there, no mercy wore its light, no dawn asked to be born. The disciples saw radiance and called it blessing. Who saw the hunger first, silent behind the shine. The seed opened, no tree arose, no leaf unfolded, a miniature sun was born. It did not warm the skin, it did not comfort the dead. It ate shadow from the stones and pride from ancient names. Memory smoked before it, matter thinned beneath it. Secrets screamed voiceless, old crowns melted inward. L.O.K. is Soleta Skoga, Runa Brenner, Yggdrasileirer. L.O.K. is Soleta Skoga, Runa Brenner, Yggdrasileirer. Not every light is kindness, not every flame reveals. Some light heals the wound, some light judges the scar. Some light opens the hidden door, some light burns the false throne. King Feng cultivated the fourth, the light that devours the sun. Voracious did not hate, it did not rage, it simply consumed what could not endure it. Seeing a lie became ash, a mask became smoke, a lineage of borrowed glory lost its borrowed face. But danger stood within the gift. A hungry sun made too far, it may devour the teaching pain, the sheltering dark, mystery not yet ready. Night guarding the seed, the disciples stepped back, the guardians raised their seals. The field of shattered worlds bent under golden pressure. King Feng's hands trembled once, the seed wanted more. The sun wanted root, altar, sky and witness. Blood Okruna, Eld Oklas, Galderisa, Runa Helder. Who did not condemn the light? Who did not praise the hunger? He watched the sovereign's heart as a blade near an infant. Power was not the question, control was not enough. The deeper trial was this: what feeds the one who feeds the sun? If the heart is dry, it becomes fuel. If the will is vain, it becomes oil. If the soul desires worship, the sun becomes a throne of teeth. King Feng heard the silence, he closed his fingers slowly. The golden seed recoiled, still burning, still alive. The fragments stopped, without speech. Between them the lesson stood, like fire held in iron. Oh, seeker of devouring light, prove first the vessel. Oh, keeper of a hungry sun, prove first the heart. For brightness without measure is only another abyss. For judgment without stillness becomes slaughter wearing gold. Sovereign of the seed, bearer of the fourth light, hander on the sun, King Feng, hunger under radiance. The seed did not sleep, the sun did not die. It waited in his grasp like dawn chained before battle. Eldokeus, Soletus Kuga, Runa Brenna, King Feng Anda. Not the field remained broken, not the gold remained sealed, and Wu's warning burned brighter than the sun. Who cultivates a hungry light must prove his heart is not its food. Not claimed by the crown, not held by the mirror, not broken by the seam. One realm was visible lion, one realm was veiled reflection. One acted in daylight, one interpreted the wound. He came through the corridor where meanings changed their faces, carrying warnings in both hands, like ravens made of ash. The walker had no shore, his origin breathed in the interval. Sun, the second called him Shadow. Both raised old banners, both opened ancestral doors. But he did not kneel, he did not deny. He crossed their claims without cutting the thread, for he was not indecision. He was not exile, he was the bridge made conscious, the womb that learned to pass. Mili heima runa opnast, ekeng mili rafnarvaka. Messages changed inside him. A threat became a question, a prophecy became a blade. A blessing returned as debt, what left one kingdom as command arrived in the other as grief. What began as law ended as interpretation. The masters of Hakrabi watched his body seemed incomplete, in every single layer yet more whole than the fixed. He brought news from beyond the locked woven cage, from cultivators without alignment, from powers outside the great town. possession, one may become passage. The walker carried no throne, yet gates obeyed his breath. He carried no sword, yet borders feared his step. Blood okay ruler, vid mörker okay stormer. Galderisa, Runa helder. The twin realms demanded answer. Where were you born? Which mirror holds your name? Which crown owns your return? He smiled without comfort, he spoke without surrender. I was born where neither realm can place its hand. I was born in the breath between two certainties. I am not divided, I am not unfinished. I am the crossing that both sides require. Who heard the claim and found no falsehood there? He saw a beam made of interval, not torn but tempered. So the walker was allowed into the central hall of the left, where incomplete testimonies sleep, where half-seen truths keep fire. The doors did not open forward, they did not open back. They opened between breaths, where no realm could follow. Runab nast milli haima ek gang milli Yggdrasil heyre.
O walker of the twin realms,
Keeper of the living seam, bearer of double silence, threshold under flesh. Let one world call you absence, let one world call you fraud. The bridge does not answer to the fear of shores. For the fixed may stand, the crown may rule, the rooted may endure, but only passage survives crossing. He lifted one hand, a door appeared. It led to no kingdom, it led to the space between two breaths. They came from beyond the locked woven cage, where no great Tao marked the dark, where no ancestral road was given, where law had to be carved from hunger. No horns crowned their heads, no hellfire named their flesh. Their terror was not shape, but incompatibility. Their souls were cultivated by absence, their arts bent without pattern. Their eyes carried worlds that survived without guidance. Foreign demons. Some came as invaders, some came as wounded kings, some came as monks without temples. Some came as children of broken stars. They looked upon Hakrabi with hatred, but also with thirst for meaning they had never inherited. One touched the trembled. One heard the bells and covered his face. Here the path was not invented by hands bleeding in the dark. Here meaning had roots. Here law remembered mercy. Utangarandar Melker Naffen Runa Veitegi Ekala Framandi. The guardians raised their seals. The old wards tasted their breath and found no single origin. Their techniques did not oppose the Tao. They grew where Tao had never answered. Their wounds were not rebellion, but climates of abandonment. A blade made of refusal, a body trained by void, a name forged without witness. Some carried knives behind sorrow. Some carried sorrow behind knives. Wu watched without haste. He saw the invader. He saw the survivor. He saw the false exile and the orphan of law. Foreign does not mean evil. Unguided does not mean pure. A path born without light may still become tooth and throne. Yet a soul raised in darkness may weep before a single root, because it never knew belonging. Blood, okay, Runa, vid mörker, okay, stormer, Galdrisa, Runa, Helder. His palm to Hakrabi and heard the living stone respond. He did not understand the tears. He did not know the word for home. He only felt a Tao he had not built alone. The hall did not forgive him. The seals did not fall, but judgment became deeper. Not all must be slain. Not all may be trusted. Not all hunger is malice. Not all pain is innocence. Who divided the coming dark invaders to outer blades? Survivors beneath guarded oaths, unknown ones under watching roots. No gate open without seal, no guest entered without witness. No enemy was renamed brother by tears alone. Compassion without discernment becomes a breached wall. Suspicion without wisdom becomes a prison made of fear. Foreign demon children beyond the cage. Foreign demons, paths without inherited stars. Utangarderandar Runa Helder Merker Bernafen Akrabi Heire. Between welcome and sword, between root and frontier. Let the lost be measured, let the violent be broken, let the orphan be witnessed, let no hunger rule the gate. The demon's tears dried on the floor. The stone remembered them beyond the locked woven cage. The dark learned that Hakrabi could see the difference. gathered the hidden scholars beneath Hakrabi's leftward vault, where no torch burned straight, and every shadow kept a name. He lifted no blade, he opened no book, he touched the air, and the air became woven. There are fibers, he said, older than flesh, finer than light, stronger than law. One binds name to form, one binds form to law. One binds law to memory, one binds memory to fate. Nothing okay lag runa, binder olog, veffer, kalder samer. When the fibers are whole, a being remains known. The name finds the body finds its law. The law remembers place, the place receives memory. The memory bends toward fate, and fate does not lose the face, but cut one thread and the soul still breathes, while belonging dies around it. A man may stand, yet no law may claim him. A beast may howl, yet no world may answer. This is not death, this is disconnection. The foreign demons trembled in memory. The breathing name returned. The remade origin pulsed below. All signs became one wound. What walks outside meaning does not always hate meaning. What loses its thread may become blade, storm or orphan. Then a lesser being cried out, his outline bent inward. His name slipped from his mouth and did not return. The scholar saw his body remain, but the world forgot how to hold him. Blood okay runa, vidmerker oak stormer runa, slitnar hakrabi heyre. The broken fibers spread, not like plague of flesh, but like error in recognition, like a crown denying its king. One disciple forgot his own oath, one seal forgot its doorway, one stone forgot the hall, one memory lost its road. Fear rose among the scholars. They asked for restoration. They wanted the being returned to what he had been. Who answered with silence, for healing is not always return. A true stitch does not worship the old. A torn thread may reveal a form more honest than origin. Who drew the fibers together, not by force, not by pity, not by the cruelty of nostalgia. Name met form again, form met law again. Law touched memory, memory bowed toward fate. Yet the being did did not become former. His eyes changed, his shadow changed. His place in the hall opened wider than before. The scholars understood to mend is not to erase the wound. To mend is to teach the wound where it belongs. Nafano Lagruna in the Orlog Veffer Galder Sommer. Fibers of being and decree, hidden threads of the world. Hold what must be held, release what must be remade. Let name not devour form, let form not betray law. Let law not imprison memory, let memory not corrupt fate. Reality is not stone alone, reality is not flame alone. Reality is coherence between being, name, law, and place. The broken one stood breathing, not saved backward, not lost forward, woven into a truer shape. Opened under seal, beneath Hakrabi's guarded stone. No wind entered the chamber, yet the banner began to move. It did not tremble in air, it trembled in breath. Not one breath, but countless lives unfinished. Each thread held an echo, each knot held a road. Each stain remembered a name that fate had not released. The flammula of infinite souls. Merely treasure, it was not merely weapon, it was a field of possible returns, woven into sacred danger. One thread carried a child who never reached a cradle. One thread carried a warrior whose oath outlived his bones. One thread carried a queen erased from her own kingdom. One thread carried a sinner still calling for his name. The souls did not sing as one, they whispered against each other, a constellation of echoes, too vast for a single body. Salarvaka, blood, okay, mini, runa, kalar, hel, heiri, reigi. The master saw salvation, the guardian saw dominion, the grieving saw resurrection, the hungry saw a throne with such a banner. A broken soul could be gathered, a scattered lineage could return, a lost house could rise again. The same cloth could bind those who must remain apart. It could fuse memories, weld wounds to wounds, force many cells into one screaming crown. Who watched the threads? He did not trust their beauty. The soul is not a single line, the soul is a sky of echoes. cremate night who call every fragment back. Is not always mercy to make the scattered whole may become another violence. A group begged for the lost lineage. They spoke of blood, honor, names buried without heirs, halls left cold for generations. Another group feared the return, for old corruption may also answer, and what was buried with the dead may rise wearing ancestral light. Blood okay, Runa, Vidmerker okay, Stormer, Runa Helder, Sala Anda. The Flammula only partly, not as crown, not as army, not as bridge for ambition. Only one thread was called, a soul still trapped in its own echo, answered from the cloth, not demanding a body, only the right to hear itself. Its name returned like a bell beneath a frozen lake. Its memory straightened, its grief became breath. The banner shook, wanting to open wide up. Who closed it? Oh, Flammula of infinite souls, standard of possible lives, relic of return and captivity. Do not mistake gathering for grace. Not every soul wants wholeness, not every echo wants flesh, not every memory should be crowned, not every dead road must reopen. Let the broken be heard, let the bound be released, let the hungry be denied, let the arrogant find no army here. Salar Vataka, Runa Kala, Blodo Kameni, Akrabi Heire. The coffer closed again. The coffer closed again. The chamber kept breathing. Inside the sealed banner, the threads whispered softly. Not every soul wants to return home.
Who led a small company to the farthest pressure of the path, where Akrabi's maps grew silent, and every compass lowered its flame. There was no shore, yet it felt like coast. There was no sea, yet all things heard the tide. Mark stood upon the void, footprints without ground. Blade cuts in empty distance, golden blood with no body near the far shore of Tao. Each mark belonged to one who reached too far. Some failed and became warning. Some vanished beyond memory. Some returned without their former eyes. Some returned without their name. Some may have crossed completely, but lost the right to be remembered. The path had guided them until guidance ended. The Tao had carried them until continuity withdrew. Till fjär strong Hafmir Kuranda Runa Guerfer Ekeng Igihain. The disciples saw glory, the elders saw danger. The young saw footprints and mistook them for invitation. But the coast was not a place, it was the point where the Tao no longer promised identity, road or return. A path may lead you onward and still refuse to bring you back. A name may carry you forward and still dissolve at the edge. Wu did not forbid their fear. He let the silence teach. One disciple stepped too near, his foot touched an ancient mark in the old crossing open inside his marrow. He saw a warrior without face walking past the last decree. He saw a sage abandon language. He saw a king offer his crown to a horizon that did not answer. Then the pain arrived, the grief of going farther than the self can survive. He tried to pull away, the mark pulled deeper. Blado Keiruna Vid Merkrokok Stormer Runa Helder Yggdrasil Hadrir. Wu raised one hand, no blade flashed, no thunder fell. The mark released its hunger, the disciple collapsed, not dead, not whole, but carrying one fragment of the former traveler. He learned what ambition hides. Arrival is not victory. When the one who arrives cannot remain himself. The far shore gave no praise. The far shore gave no crown. It only held the scars of those who touched the end of promise. Who gathered one mark, not as trophy, not as relic of conquest, not as proof of passage. He took it as warning, a black seal of distance, a wound preserved for those who confuse far with beyond. Oh, far shore of Tao, limit without coastline, end without conclusion, silence after guidance. Let the proud see your scars. Let the eager hear your tide. Let the wise remember the end of Tao is not the surpassing of Tao. til fjärrstrand. Runa Griffruff near and Wu here. The company turned back, the void kept its marks behind them. The coast whispered without voice to reach the end is not yet to cross beyond.
The forbidden land, where old mountains clenched like fists, where rivers ran against decree, where bones of sovereigns hummed. No beast guarded the border, no demon crowned the gate. The land itself remembered anger, and anger had become stone. Here, the Tao was not denied by strangers from the outer dark. Here, its own ancient branches had risen against the root, the ancestral revolt. Once born from order called themselves the whole. Laws once fed by swords claimed the right to replace source. They said the root is old. They said the branch has surpassed the root. They raised inheritance like weapons. They crowned memory as throne. They demanded origin kneel before its own descendants. Blood, okay, Runa, konungar feller eigi. Runa reisir, vida bruna spree. The echo spoke to the visitors, cast down every beginning. Take power without obedience, take name without gratitude, be crown without root, be flame without altar, be river without spring, be air without death. Some hearts listen too long. Pride entered like winter smoke, even wise hands tightened around invisible swords, for revolt has sweetness when it wears the face of freedom, and poison is most royal when poured in ancestral gold. Lifted higher, fists against the unseen sky. The rivers roared backward, refusing did not answer with anger. He did not crush the hills. He did not command the rivers to remember submission. He listened for the root beneath the rebellion. L-O-K is Hrafnar Vaka Galderisa Yggdrasil Heirir. Creation carries the seed of revolt. Every child of law may dream of becoming law. This is not strange. This is not always evil. Growth itself contains the danger of forgetting root. But when the branch calls itself source, harmony becomes conquest. When inheritance denies origin, freedom becomes hunger. The zone shook harder. It offered Wu autonomy, power without return, sovereignty without remembrance. Wu remained still.
He did not fear revolt.
He did not fear revolt.
Because he knew its birthplace.
He did not worship origin.
Because origin too may be surpassed.
But surpassing is not devouring. Freedom is not ingratitude.
A branch may reach beyond the sky
And still know the root below. The mountains heard him. The rivers faltered. The bones of kings grew silent inside their broken crowns. Blood, okay, Runa held a vidmer, Karok stormer, Huandarjup.
A forbidden land of ancestral wrath.
Field of crowns against the source.
Remain as wound, remain as warning.
Let the proud see your fists, let the heirs hear your bones.
Let every branch remember.
To grow beyond is not to erase below. The mountains lowered ones,
Not in surrender.
not in shame but in recognition. Who passed through the revolt without breaking its memory. Beyond the revolt, the land no longer argued. It shuddered. Mountains did not raise fists. Rivers did not speak decrees. The whole zone pulsed, like flesh after ancient war. Here rebellion had failed, but failure had not healed. Here the will against origin became spasm in the world, the ancestral convulsion. Laws were born and died between two breath space, tightened like muscle. Time sobbed in iron halls. A road opened, then forgot its direction. A crown appeared, then cracked before a head. Every tremor tried again to finish an old revolt. Every pulse reopened a war already buried. George Skelfer Galder brought Naruna Hilder Yggdrasil Heirir. as command, as rhythm. Their hearts began to answer, their breath lost its law. Their hands remembered anger that was not their own. One disciple wanted rupture, one elder wanted judgment, one warrior gripped his blade without knowing why. The zone did not persuade, it infected cadence. Blood o krona, vid mörker och storma, runa slitna, harta skelfer. May become memory, a deeper failure becomes body. When the source is challenged and the wound cannot close, the cosmos repeats pain without understanding pain. This was not ideology, this was not pride speaking, this was the aftershock of origin refusing rest. The convulsion had no throne, it had no prophet, it had no doctrine left, only tremor, only repetition, only the old refusal beating without mind. The Wu stood unmoving. He did not strike the land, he did not curse the spasm, he did not force stillness upon the wounded depth. He offered a deeper rhythm, not louder, not faster, not victorious. Older than the tremor, heavier than revolt, calmer than the memory of broken crowns. Wu and Arjup, Runa, Helda, Galderisa, Jord, Heyrir. Resisted at first, its rivers clenched, its laws snapped open, its broken time tried to bite. But Wu's presence did not wrestle, it descended, it settled beneath the spasm like bedrock under storm. The visitors found breath again, their hearts left the stolen rhythm, their hands opened, their eyes returned. The convulsion did not end, no false peace was declared, but the tremor slowed and the wound remembered weight.
Oh, forbidden zone of ancestral pain,
Body of an unfinished revolt,
remain as warning.
but do not devour the living.
Let the proud hear your shaking.
Let the wounded know your cost.
Let every origin remember.
Even source may be surpassed,
Yet what cannot accept surpassing?
may become disease,
What cannot release rebellion?
may become eternal spasm.
Who placed the seal of stillness?
Not to cure,
Not to conquer.
but to hold the wound until deeper judgment comes. George Skilfer Ege, Una Helder,
Thimble better under.
Wu Stender, Una Helder,
Thimble better under.
Wu Stender, Una Helder,
Thimble better under.
Wu Stender. The zone remained forbidden, the tremor did not die, but beneath the shaking, for one breath, something older than revolt began to breathe. And beyond that breath, the next brightness waited, the realm of perennial light.